training. I get asked daily for advice on how to find federal opportunities. I think the top two things that small businesses struggle with and that they look to people like me for help on is how do they start and build relationships, and how do they find and pursue opportunities. And so obviously we're going to be talking about opportunities today to a degree more than relationships. But I want you to keep in mind, finding federal opportunities is actually pretty easy, and I'll show you, right? Our problem is we find thousands of them. The hard part is finding slam dunk opportunities that feel like when you see them, they were written for your company. That takes more time, right? And that's a skill set that you want to be developing. In today's training, I want to help you understand how federal agency buyers communicate with industry, right? When they reach out, they're trying to do market research, or even when they're doing award or post-award activity, in particular, how they use SAM.Gov at different stages of the acquisition lifecycle. This is not some big magical secret I teach you, right? I don't teach secrets. There are no secrets. But this is fundamental skills that I'm going to teach you. I just want to take it to the next level beyond basics. Because when you understand how the government buyer communicates with industry, then you're going to find it a lot easier to track on those opportunities that you want to pursue. Okay, so let's get into the SAM.Gov master class. And in particular, I want to talk about the notice types. I'm going to break today's training down into 4 parts and mostly slides, and then I'll dive into SAM.Gov itself to show you what I'm talking about. But the first thing I want to just cover is understanding SAM's fit as a tool within the federal buyer's toolbox. So there's several different tools the federal buyer has. Where does SAM fit in? I'll briefly talk about that just to put it in context. The second thing I want to cover down on are just making sure you're introduced to the 9 different notice types that are in SAM. The third thing I'm going to cover is then take those notice types, right? There's a lot of them. I broke them down into low, medium, and high value to you, in which ones you should really be paying attention to the most. And so I'm going to break those down and talk to you about why I'm breaking them down so that you can track on that. And then the last thing I'm going to cover up on is how to rapidly process many SAM notices. If you go into SAM, you can see 50 or 500 or even 1,000, 2,000 notices in there. How do you quickly process that information, that data, to turn it into information? I'm going to give you my process for when I go into SAM and how I process through all those SAM notices, and also what I help my customers learn. If you don't know who I am, my name is Neil McDonnell. I'm the president of the GovCon Chamber of Commerce, and I want to welcome you to my federal sales training, where I provide tips for success in the federal market. I spent 20 years in the federal market as a small business owner, and since 2018, I've been teaching people like you that government contracting is not a secret. It's just a process. When we follow a process A to Z, we're going to have repeatable, predictable results. That's what I want for you. And that's what this training is going to try to teach you, is repeatable, predictable results as it relates to SAM. If you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe to our newsletter, Government Contracting Success newsletter. Join 15,000 other people who are getting tremendous value out of this newsletter related to what they sell and what they're trying to do with government buyers. I put a ton of good information in there. All of it is related to helping you win more contracts. The other thing is over here on the red, I say register for training. Make sure you register for training. First, it's a simple way to say thank you, and we really appreciate that. But second, when you do, it allows LinkedIn to push this out to other government contractors so that our network is growing, your network is growing, and our community is growing. That is a simple thing you can do just by clicking register. Also, it lets us know that you're coming. Okay, so I'm going to be moving forward at a pretty decent clip. We got 23 minutes. I always end at 12:30 on time. So let's begin with just understanding SAM and how it fits into the federal buyer's toolbox. So SAM, just making sure we're all using the same terms, is System for Award Management. And SAM's got a lot of stuff in there, right? That's where we all go to register if we want to sell to the federal government. It's also where they put out opportunities. It's where you can see some awards. It's got a lot of good information in there. Ideally, what is happening is the government's trying to consolidate all these other tools into this one suite of tools called SAM. They'll eventually get to it. Like FPDS is on this slow roll to get in. A lot of the reporting that used to be in FPDS is now in SAM. So you'll see these two tools work together. Primarily, I look to SAM for future opportunities. It has awards in there, But I look to it for future opportunities. That's the main thing that I'm looking for. FPDS is where I can go in and see past opportunities that have been awarded. It can be contract vehicles, it can be whole contracts, it can be task orders, all this extra stuff. But the Federal Procurement Data System, or FPDS, is where you can go and, for the most part, see everything the federal buyers have awarded to government contractors. A lot of stuff that might not be in there, but the bulk of what they buy is listed in there. One other thing about SAM as it relates to past contracts, it is a great place for me to go back and find previous documents that are attached to previous RFPs. So an RFP might come out and it's got a performance work statement, some other stuff. If I'm looking in the future at recompeting, I want to grab the old PWS so I've got a general idea about an opportunity. USA spending is similar to FPDS, except for it has extra information like grants, et cetera, which I'm not talking about. But the reason I like USA spending is that it is a much better graphical presentation, user interface for us on the data that's in FPDS. My ability to go in and see what's been awarded, how much been spent where. I can look at something, see an opportunity, like it, follow easily the vendor that won it, then I can see what else they're winning, which also allows me to identify possible opportunities that can go in my pipeline, or which agencies might be spending more on what I'm trying to buy when I kind of chase my competitors through USA spending. USA spending just makes it much easier because it is designed to be a very friendly system. And then the last one I put in here, just contractor, it's kind of like a bonus one, but Contractor Performance Assessment Reporting System, CPARS. Right, so the CPARS tool is, some of us sometimes call it the Yelp for government contracting, but basically, for the most part, decent sized contracts and above, I think it's like 700,000 or whatever. I can't really remember the bottom number, but when the government does review our contracts, this is where they do it. They put a review into CPARS, and the reason this is really good, and I like it as it ties to the notice types in SAM, is that this is where buyers can say how much they liked you, or unfortunately, if they weren't happy with you. But most importantly, if they liked you, and you should be influencing that because they are telling other people. Federal buyers are taught to look in CPARS if they're trying to go after opportunities and to find companies like yours. Or if you send in a proposal and they look in to see what your CPARS ratings are. This is the place where buyers tell each other how well you did on the contract, right? I'm simplifying it, but basically that's what it is. And if you're familiar with any kind of 5-star review, this is basically where the government gives you 5 stars, 3 stars, 4 stars in there. A couple other places I separated them by this big space that they're not these catch-all major tools, but you want to be looking to bid boards, right? Another big place government communicates with industry is on bid boards. I put 2 examples, DIBS, which is run by DLA, and for the most part, it's products out there. And then you have ARC, which is I can't remember what it is. I can't even remember what the acronym stands for. But basically, it's the intelligence community's way of communicating with industry. Think of it like a SAM for the intelligence community, because there's a lot more classified information, et cetera. DIBS, ARC, and some of these others, you have to register in to see those opportunities. So if you want to see what the government is communicating back and forth, you got to register in there. And then the last one is contract vehicle portals. And the reason I say this is SAM doesn't have everything. If SAM has RFI sources sought that is looking for industry partners, well, on Seaport Next Gen, which is a contract vehicle in the Navy, they don't come out to SAM and put it there. They put it in their own portal, into the Seaport Next Gen contract vehicle portal, to notify the contract holders. There's like 2,000 plus of them. And so you want to be tracking on contract vehicle portals to see, to hear from federal buyers that are related to your agency and your contract vehicle. So anyways, just keep this in mind. There's many different places and tools they use. I'm going to focus today on SAM. All right, there's 9 notice types within SAM.Gov. You can see I got a little image over here. And what I'm trying to show is when you go into SAM, and I might show it in a minute, but when you go into SAM, on the left-hand side of SAM, you have this ability to start filtering down. And so if you choose contracts, you'll see a notice type dropdown. This notice type dropdown allows you to choose one or more opportunity or notice types that you're looking for. And I'll show you in a minute when I go into SAM. Okay, so the different types that are in here, and I'll try to touch on them briefly. And again, because it's briefly, it's not this all-inclusive thing. But the idea, oh, and I was going to alphabetize them, but I guess I just left them the way they are. Special notice, think of this like a bulletin board with the government. And the primary thing I like about it is this is where you can go find out the agency telling us about industry days, or the agency might drop its long-range acquisition forecast, and it will communicate to industry through a special notice. So other things like that. Number two is sources sought or request for information. Those are the same thing as it relates to a notice type. This is where the government is trying to engage industry to learn more, or have a discussion with industry, or even see if industry is interested in responding, right? They're trying to gauge whether there might be enough women-owned small businesses, et cetera. Pre-solicitation, it literally is what it sounds like. There's going to be a solicitation coming out, and so it's a heads up. Consolidated, substantially bundled, and I wish I had put the descriptions in here, because this one, if you go in, you'll see almost nothing in there. But this is where they're having to report that they plan on actually bundling things. Solicitation and combined synopsis solicitation is kind of like pulling together either a stand-up solicitation or here's a heads up and the solicitation at the same time. And we'll go in and look at it, but basically that's the RFP, RFQs. So 5 and 6 is where the government is telling us we want to buy something. Number 7 is when something has been awarded, the government can decide if they want to let us know. There's no rule that says they have to tell us. So something comes through and they have to put an award notice out, but they do come by. Those who want to use it correctly, they'll come in and do an award notice, letting us know something happened, which is great, because if we're lucky, it has the name of the vendor that won it and the total value of the contract, some other very minor information. Justification, if they plan on not going small business, or if they plan on sole sourcing it, and I don't think the 8A part is part of this, but sole sourcing it for a reason, they have to put J&A or justifications out there. And so this is where they're trying to justify it. Generally, I see that after the fact, where they're coming in saying, this is why we did what we did, not, hey, we're going to. And then last one, sale of surplus property. I don't plan on going into it a lot, because that's not my world with you. But generally, if the government's got something they want to sell, like ironically, when I was preparing for the training, or interestingly, a lot of what I saw was used fuel and ammunition. I'm like, wow, don't you have any like desks or computers? Okay, so those are the different types. Let's talk about the importance, right? How do I rack and stack these? And I was trying to decide, do I put low at the top or low at the bottom? But I figure I'll end with what's most important. So these are the 9 types or notice types that are in SAM. And the first 4 I say are low value to you as an organization, right? And compared to the other 5, right? So the first 4, award notice, like whatever, I'll go in, I won't go in. But the reality is award notice is not that helpful to me, because I can go into FPDS and get way more. Consolidated substantial bundle, there's almost nothing ever there. It's not that interesting to me, so it's not there. Same thing with justification on why they're going. I don't really care what the justification is. If they did it, I don't have the energy, time, or money to try to get them to change their mind, even if I could. So I don't really put a lot of value on that. And same thing with sale of surplus property. I'm not in the buying mode, I'm in the selling mode. And so that's low value to me. Medium value, this is where it is valuable, but it's just not as high value as the high value. Medium value to me is the combined synopsis and solicitation, and the solicitation notice. The reason this is medium value to me is because it's too late for me to do anything except for respond. Of course, it's valuable, and if there was nothing else, it would be high value. But at this point, I'm just writing and responding. It's like too late to think. Now it's in the doing stage. What I really want, and what is high value to me, is early notices. I want to get engaged with the buyer as early as possible. And that's what these high value notice types are. So the first one is sources sought notice, right? This is where the government is trying to see if they might set it aside to a hub zone or an 8A small business. It's where they can see, should we go on this vehicle or that vehicle, this NAICS or that NAICS? The RFIs, requests for information, are a type of sources sought notice in SAM, right? So there's the government is sometimes trying to figure out their acquisition approach, which is what I described a minute ago, kind of sources sought. And sometimes they're just trying to have real conversations about the technical scope of the requirements that they have. And so sources sought and RFIs fall under one notice type called sources sought in SAM. I place a high value on that because I have the chance to get in, learn about it, start capturing, start getting in, and hopefully engaging with the buyer in the program office, building teams, et cetera. I have all this activity I can do. Special notice is another hugely valuable opportunity. I just shared a one of these special notice type files out there this morning on LinkedIn, and today is April 22nd, right, 2024. I just shared out a file from the Missile Defense Agency that one of my customers is beginning to look into, and they MDA, Missile Defense Agency, they threw out this basically advanced planning to industry. They called it Industry Day, but usually industry days are about one opportunity. But here they shared a lot of opportunities, and many of these opportunities have 25, 50 FTEs or full-time equivalent employees basically on them. Some of them go up as high as 200 and 300 and 400 on there. So I can look in there and go, well, we couldn't do that as a prime, but let's go get on a team. And because it's so early in this special notice, it gives me maximum amount of time to put it in my pipeline and be looking at it over the next 6 to 24 months. This is what all your consultants who are out there and who talk about this saying, we want a pipeline in the federal market is 6 to 24 months. We're talking about professional services, IT services, things that have a long acquisition life cycle. We're not talking about products, right? If there's product sales, it has a shorter life cycle. But when you have something that you're going to be writing a 50-page response proposal, then you want that same amount of effort that would go into the proposal to go into sales, into capture. And that's why we do capture. Number 8 here, when you get these special notices and you hear about industry days or advanced planning briefs to industry, et cetera, long-range acquisition forecast, you can get the ball rolling. And the last one is pre-solicitation. I place that into the high value because it is still a heads up. It depends on the window, and I can't remember the window that they do, but I think it's like 15 days where they put it out and say the RFP is finally dropping in 15 days. So there's all sorts of variations in there, but this is how I rack and stack the notice types so that I can pursue them. Okay, before I go into SAM, let me show you talk to you about how I rapidly go through a lot of these notices, because sometimes you can go in and there's thousands of notices. It's like, oh my God, it's so overwhelming. It is, first off, in the beginning, for sure it is, right? But it's like anything else. As you develop the skill and you get more comfortable with the tools, you get more comfortable with the hand-eye coordination, right? Your eye and the description and the title of the opportunity, et cetera. You start moving faster and you start getting into rhythm, but that's just experience. And so time will help you get the experience to sharpen that skill. Here's what you need before you do the 3-step approach I recommend. You have to have a documented slam dunk criteria. And so when I say a slam dunk criteria, I mean when you look at an opportunity, that opportunity based on your defined criteria of a great opportunity, slam dunk opportunity, that opportunity is yours. You look at it and everybody in your company goes, oh, that was written for us. I mean, literally, did we write that and say, you know what, the best opportunity would have this, this, this. That's a slam dunk opportunity. Too often we go for like 3-pointers and we're not even that good at basketball. To use basketball analogy, right? We're way, way out on the fringes trying to shoot. Compared to a slam dunk opportunity means I literally am holding the ball all the way up into the net and putting it in, right? And so you want opportunities so that same way. And you have that strength in your company. You just need to define it, document it so everybody knows it. When you have the slam dunk opportunity defined, the criteria for that opportunity defined, it makes it easier to go through this 3-step approach. So I'll show you this approach in 2 seconds. But what I do is I look at a lot of opportunities and I start triaging by just the title. And sometimes the titles are horrible, right? This is what you're going to run into because the government does whatever they want to do and everybody does it at different levels. But I look at the title and I make a split-second decision. Literally, I'm talking about 2 to 5 seconds at most per opportunity that I'm making a decision to say no or let's keep looking. And so what I do, and I put use tabs, what I usually do when I'm looking at something on the browser is I just right-click and open a new tab and I forget about it and I keep going down the list. So I scroll down this list and I'm trying to look at a bunch of opportunities, put them into tabs. I don't actually want a bunch of opportunities in my pipeline. I want like 5 to 20 that are slam dunks. But in order to get there, I need a bunch of okay opportunities so I can research them further and go, oh, they actually are slam dunk. So the second step after I've gone through all the titles, right, I browse through this long list. The second step is to triage by the description. In SAM, right, and you can use different tools that have this, but in SAM, they'll have a description field. So I'll go back to all those tabs I opened up. I'll look at the description. I'll read that. And whatever I read in there is going to help me do my next triaging, right? Triaging is deciding, is that opportunity going to make it or is it not going to make it? And if it is not going to make it, if I have a feeling it's not going to make it based on the description, I just close that tab and I move to the next tab. I will come back and do a third round by triaging on the files. And the file generally is like a statement of work or a SOO, a statement of objectives, or a PWS, a performance work statement, right? The requirement definition. The third group is when I put the most effort into looking at the opportunity. So you don't want to look at the files of every single opportunity. You want to get good at going, no, that's not us. That's not a slam dunk. It's attractive, but it's not what we're wanting. So let me show you just a little bit in here. Okay, so I'm in SAM. I'm going to do this really fast because I'm not teaching you SAM. I'm just trying to show you that triage mode that I do. I came over here to the search tab. The next thing I do is I click down. I say, show me contract opportunities. And I will zoom in for 1 second. So I just said contract opportunities. And now when I come down, the next thing I want to search, you know what's funny? Sorry, let me back up 1 second. Usually when I do this, I'm seeing everything. I don't know why I'm not, but let me just switch over to exact phrase. There you go. Now it refreshed. Okay. So if you look right there, 43,542, right? So now I'm going to sit there and say, well, my company does SharePoint. And so I'm going to just type SharePoint, hit enter. And I said exact phrase, I guess only one word, so it didn't really matter. But now I've got 10 results in here. So I can start looking. I have no idea what upgrade the water tower is, but I'm like, my instinct is no, right? I move on to the next one. It's Microsoft application renewal. Now, I know I said don't look at the description, but I'm pretty positive this is licenses, and I just want to make sure, and I go, oh, licenses right here, keep on going. That's not what we do. Here's information returns modernization program. I'm like, that title looks really attractive. I'm going to click on it and say open in a new tab. I'm going to go to this next one. It's a modernization program management. I don't even have to look a lot. The title attracts me. I'm not trying to finish the review yet. So I'm going to right click on it. I'm on a Windows machine. So I right click, I say open in a new tab. Here I'm coming down. This says QA program support. And that one's a little tough. I'm going to just skip it because I don't really know what that is. Contracting acquisition support services. I'm going to look at that because one of the things I know about SharePoint is we help business units. And so contracting and acquisition folks, maybe they're looking for business SharePoint solutions. Same thing, right? So I could come down here. Here's the renewal. I don't need that. That's a QA program I think I already saw. Here's a financial. That's a follow-on. I don't really care at the moment. And then quality assurance. So I'm going to skip it, and that's enough. So I got 3, right? And I can go back on getting a bigger pool if I wanted. But here, now I'm just going to come down to, I said the description. So I can start looking at the description and decide what I want to do. Based on this, I'll decide to move forward, not to move forward. This is actually way more description than I wanted to show you because, and let's just see how much these guys have. So this is a little bit normal, right? I can read this in 60 seconds or so. And the same thing here. I can come down and, well, this one's a little bigger, right? And what I can tell is they usually pull out the documents and just put it here. But now, my third pass, I can come back here and I can look at this performance work statements that they have and some of the evaluation criteria. I can look at that and go, well, can we do it? But I'm doing this all pretty fast. And imagine if you spent 4 to 6 hours one day, the ability for you to fill out a really decent sized pipeline of slam dunk opportunities in the for the rest of this fiscal year, it's very realistic. It just takes a little patience to go through it. But the 3-step approach, look at the titles, get a bunch of possibles, look at the description, have a smaller bunch of possibles, and then look at the files and pick the ones that you want to put into your pipeline. Never put anything into your pipeline until you've gone past that triage approach, 3-step approach. All right, so here's what I want you to remember as you move into the day and you're going to be looking at SAM and these notices yourself. First thing is make sure your company has a documented slam dunk criteria. What is the slam dunk criteria for opportunities that go into your pipeline? Write that down. And don't worry about FOMO that if you niche it down too much, you'll miss out on this. No, if you niche it down, you'll find a bunch of opportunities that are in your sweet spot. Second thing is go into SAM and get good at browsing it. Look at the notices. Go through the different notices and see what happens for your stuff. Like I might put SharePoint and then say, well, show me awards. Show me this. And I can see, is there stuff? Is there not stuff? begin to get good at that tool. If you spend a few minutes every day, you'll start becoming a master at that tool. And the last thing, speaking of that, is schedule daily 15-minute reviews. You want to get in and make sure you're not missing anything that are sources sought, RFPs, etc. Don't let the system send you emails. That's actually not a good way. Go in there and own that tool. It is your tool. The government just happens to also be a user, but that is your tool for sales success. And I want you to master the skills around using SAM.Gov. Okay, hopefully you found this helpful. If you did, put thanks in the chat. We always appreciate that. If you're interested in working with me, I have a business development accelerator workshop for companies generally doing about 2 million plus. It's to help you accelerate into the into federal agencies and into prime contractors, whether they're small or large, getting those relationships that'll lead to the opportunities you want to pursue. If you're interested, go to GovConChamber.com and learn more about it. For all of us, just remember as you go through the day, government contracting is not a secret. It's just a process. I'll see you in the next training.